Around 10 years ago, the football world was very, very different, particularly when it comes to fan and media expectations. A player would move to a new football club and be given time. Realistically, at least 12 months before we would properly judge them. We would say they were adapting to a new league or settling into a new environment. But then one day things changed. A player called Bruno Fernandes came to the Premier League and immediately hit the ground running. In his first 14 Premier League games, he popped up with 15 goal contributions. And in my opinion, I think that changed expectations forever. Suddenly players do not now have the time to settle into a new club. They have to hit the ground running immediately. Fortunately, Bryan Mbeumo, our big money signing in the summer, has done exactly that. He scored 2 goals in his first 4 games, contributing to 33% of all of Manchester United's goals so far. Now granted, United haven't exactly scored loads, but I think it's fair to say that Bryan Mbeumo has hit the ground running and immediately proved that he can be a game-changing player for Manchester United. And the reason for that is because of his amazing skill set that we spoke about all summer, and now we're seeing it in the Manchester Reds. Now, I think the first thing that has impressed me but also pleasantly surprised me about Bryan Mbeumo is just his technical quality. We all knew we were getting a good footballer. You hope so, certainly, when you spend that much money. But I think actually his pure quality on the ball was something that even I underestimated. Perhaps that was because he was playing at Brentford, a team where they were often very transitional, so most of his moments were coming with large spaces, so we didn't see things like his footwork and his tight control and his first touch and his passing and things like that. However, at United, we know you're always going to get something a little bit different. Of course, we will still see transitioning moments, something we'll come on to in just a minute. But also, at United, there are games where you have to dominate, where you're going to have a lot of the ball, and you've got to try and break an opposition down. In these moments, you need technical quality. You need players that can look after the ball in tight spaces. What we also need at United is someone who can look after the ball under pressure, really. When, let's say, United are deeper, playing long from the back after an opposition high press, you need someone that can look after the ball. And I think Bryan Mbeumo has proven that he can do exactly that. I'll put some clips on screen now of just good technical moments from Bryan Mbeumo, where he's looking after the ball and he's helping the team move up the pitch. We're also seeing some good physical moments as well. I labelled him before he signed as sort of a wide target man, and we've seen glimpses of that, sort of holding off opposition players before spinning past them, and being that target man on the right-hand side for United. But the reason why this is so important is because it allows you to gain territory, right? If you are a team which every time you move the ball forward to a player, they lose it, the ball just comes straight back at you. Or let's say you are trying to build a patient, steady attack, you've got the wing-backs in advanced positions, you move a ball in between the lines into the feet of Bryan Mbeumo, and he immediately loses it. Again, all your hard work is undone, the opposition can quickly transition. What you need from these players, again, when he spends so much money especially, is players that can look after the ball, that can protect the ball, and I think Bryan Mbeumo has proved already that he is a much more mentally, but also technically mature player than what we've had in the past. For example, Alejandro Garnacho was a player that under pressure would struggle or would often have a loose first touch, or his passing would be a little bit wayward. We're not seeing that with Bryan Mbeumo. We are seeing immediate quality. Before we even get anywhere near the final third, he is straight away helping the team look after the ball, protect the ball, move the ball up the pitch, and that is one of the reasons why he's been a game changer. Now, another reason why Bryan Mbeumo has been a game changer for Manchester United is because of his out-ball work. And what I mean by that is when United are deep, perhaps defending or building possession from deep, and we're looking for an out-ball. We can't necessarily move our way through the opposition, so we need a way to quickly get the ball forward. Someone that we can hook the ball into in a channel, for example, and they can be their outlet. So you might be in this position, Leny Yoro might be under pressure. He needs a player that he can chuck the ball to, and they're going to chase it. Bryan Mbeumo has proven immediately in the league that he can be exactly that. So far this season, he has made most off-the-ball runs of every single player in the Premier League. That's straight away telling you what sort of player he is. He's a player that wants to play on the shoulder. He's a player that wants to stretch your position and get in behind. And we know that these players are vital. If everyone moves towards the ball, let's say Casemiro's got the ball in midfield. If everyone moves towards him in the front line, it's very easy for the opposition. They can see all of the United players, and these defenders can step up together and keep Manchester United exactly where they want them. However, when you've got an Mbeumo, someone who wants to go the other way, who wants to stretch and wants to go beyond, then you're going to ask questions. Because as we look at this defensive line, these 4 across the back here, the last thing they want to do is to be staggered and dragged into different positions. If all the United players come towards the ball, it's easy for the back 4. The second you get, though, a Bryan Mbeumo, who's going to run into these spaces. And by the way, when I say run into these spaces, he sprints into these spaces, and he sprints pretty fast. He's had the second highest top speed in the Premier League so far this season. So it's not just someone who's running in behind. He's doing it at serious speed. And of course, that asks questions for the opposition defence. What do? Do they follow him, or do they let him run off them and risk that through ball in behind? If they let him run off, then they're in trouble, right? Because Bryan Mbeumo, once he's gone, you're not going to catch him. So what opposition teams will sometimes do is try and make up for it. The left centre-back might drop a little bit deeper, and the left-back might do the same. Of course, now, though, we can see that the opposition become more staggered. Is there more room in midfield in this position here? Particularly if we put Benjamin Sesko into the team and he also starts making runs, then we are going to force opposition teams to play just a little bit deeper, and then again we are creating more space for ourselves in front of the opposition for players like Cunha, Bruno Fernandes, Ahmad perhaps as well, Mason Mount, players with the ability to get on the ball and time to get on the ball and play forward. That's why Bryan Mbeumo's outlet play is so good, and it's been effective. He has received the third most progressive passes in the league so far this season. So not only is he playing high, not only is he making a lot of runs, he's making a lot of runs at high speed, and also United are finding him. And I would say that is good player profiling from Ruben Amorim. He's not asking Bryan Mbeumo to do something that he's not used to, particularly when United are moving fast. Mbeumo is the runner, he's the one we look for, the main man really, in transitioning moments, the one that we look to play through. And he's been very, very effective. Now, I finished that little segment there by using the word effective, and I really do think that is the best word to describe Bryan Mbeumo during his time at Brentford and also his start at Manchester United. We often see these players who have got lots of skills but no end product. You might say they've got all the gear but no idea. That's a saying you might use to describe them. Players that have a lot of potential, but they never really make much of it. They're really skillful, they're fun to watch, but they don't actually give you final product in the final third. They don't really threaten the opposition. Bryan Mbeumo is the complete opposite. When it comes to his final third work, he's a demon. He is ruthlessly efficient. He isn't a player that needs to beat someone. This was something we said when we were scouting him. Bryan Mbeumo doesn't look to dribble past people. He looks to just get enough room to finish in the back of the net. With his movement in the final third, let's say the ball is on the left-hand side, he doesn't need to get in the box and out-jump people. He doesn't need to be someone who can jump ridiculously high in the air, or he doesn't need to be able to pull off insane finishes, because again, he's efficient and he's intelligent. Instead, what he'll do, rather than going up against defenders, is he'll just move away from them and get more space. It's intelligent, but it's ruthless, and I think it's something that United have lacked. Pure, again, maturity in the final third. A player who looks like they've been there and done it a million times and just knows what they're doing. They know what their skill set is and they know how to use it. And his 2 goals so far, for me, have captured 2 things which I think are great about Bryan Mbeumo. We're going to start off with this one against Burnley, because for me, I think the movement is intelligent, very, very good, and it's sort of a game of cat and mouse that he's playing with the defender a little bit. So first of all, what we've got is the ball is going long towards the left-hand side, and we've got Bryan Mbeumo up against the left-back. Of course, right now, the left-back can see exactly where Mbeumo is. You know, the left-back can have a look. He knows where he is. He's got him roughly where he wants him. Mbeumo wants to change that. So the first thing that he does is he gets off the back of the defender. The second the ball dropped on the left-hand side and it looked like United could actually attack from the long ball, Mbeumo makes his movement. And the first thing we can see here is that the defender can't see Mbeumo. So this is, in that game of cat and mouse, Mbeumo stealing an advantage. The defender does not know where he is. The defender is looking at the ball because Mbeumo has moved off of his back. And I think that's good. People always say in football, if you can see the defender's number, like Mbeumo can here, you've got an advantage, because it just means that the defender physically can't see you unless they've got some sort of like 360-degree vision, which the left back doesn't on this occasion. Now, what Mbeumo does is he continues his run into the box, and the defender, intelligently, does take a look. He looks at Mbeumo and goes, okay, I know where you are. You are racing towards the goal. But importantly, this is the last time the defender sees Bryan Mbeumo, because of course after that, the defender has to look where the ball is. He knows a cross is about to come into the box. He needs to be able to read the cross. He needs to be able to anticipate it, intercept it, clear it, head it away, anything like that. So he needs to look at the ball. Mbeumo knows that. Mbeumo knows that the defender cannot see him, and he knows that the last time the defender saw him, he was sprinting towards the byline. So he changes it. He changes it. The defender thinks he's going towards the byline, so Mbeumo just stops. He just stops running. The defender keeps running towards the line, and Mbeumo has all the time and space in the world. And then the finish isn't anything amazing, but it's easy. It's ruthless, it's efficient, it's clinical attacking play. A bit like this moment here against Grimsby. A game which I wish didn't happen, but I loved this moment. I love this moment. First of all, we've got Mbeumo running in behind on the right-hand side. He's an outlet. We know that. He's in this position ready to attack. What I like here, though, is his first touch. His first touch doesn't really commit him in either direction. He doesn't take the ball wide on the right-hand side and act as a winger who's going to take the man on, but he also doesn't cut inside onto his stronger left foot. He sort of kills the ball. He stops the ball dead in between his 2 feet, and he almost puts his defender into a sort of reactive state. The defender doesn't know which way Mbeumo's going, so he's always waiting for Mbeumo to make the next move. Again, it's a little bit of cat and mouse. It's a little bit of a chess game, if you like. Mbeumo's next move is to be aggressive. He just drives straight at the defender. Again, he's not really cutting in onto his left foot here. He's not going out wide onto the right like a winger. He's going at the defender. And I feel that he's almost keeping the ball in this sort of neutral position in between, where at any moment he could dart either side. So the defender, again, is in a reactive state. Now, the run of Ahmad on this occasion is brilliant. Ahmad overlaps on the right-hand side, and what that does is it takes the defender's attention. The defender doesn't know what to do now. Do I close Mbeumo down? Do I follow Ahmad? I'm stuck. But what's great about this, the whole time, is that Mbeumo never beats the defender. He picks the ball up roughly here. He picks the ball up in this area, and he doesn't beat the defender at any point. He doesn't actually go past a Grimsby player. And this is what we're talking about with pure efficiency and effectiveness in the final third, because he doesn't need to beat him. That's why he's so good. His dribbling numbers will never look amazing. He will never be a player that, you know, dribbles past 7 players per match. He's not that sort of footballer because he doesn't need to be. He doesn't need to get past his defender. All he needs to do is get that little gap, that little bit of separation, just enough room to get the ball into the far corner. And again, that's why I use the word effective. It's not always glamorous. It's not always aesthetic. He doesn't beat loads of people. It's not super entertaining. But in the final third, give him half a yard and he'll punish you. That for me really is the main reason why Mbeumo has very quickly become one of the key men for Ruben Amorim at Manchester United, because of his technical play, his security, his ability to stretch the opposition and tactically provide us with a threat. But then in the final third, I'll use the word again, 2 words, maturity. He feels like he knows what he's doing. He's been there 100 times, but it's just effective. It's just efficient. He is a killer in the final third, and I wouldn't want to try and defend him because you think you've got him where you want him because he hasn't beat you. But then he just puts the ball in the back of the net anyway. He doesn't need to get past you. It's ruthless efficiency, and I'll keep saying it, United have lacked that over the past few seasons. A player that doesn't actually need to beat a player, he can just work with half a yard of space because technically he's so good. His ball striking when he uses that inside of the left is just phenomenal, and it makes him a clinical weapon. That's why he's a game changer. A clinical weapon. Also with the technical security and the tactical outlet. I mean, that's why Mbeumo is changing things at Manchester United. That is why he has started so fast. And the great thing is, I think he can get so much better. We haven't seen the best of Bryan Mbeumo yet. We've actually sort of seen the absolute bare minimum. This is his bread and butter. Wait until he really gets going and we could have ourselves a serious player. I still feel that we need to work on the balance with Ahmad. We saw in that last clip it working a little bit better. We've also seen games, though, where they clash a little bit. It's going to take time. Hopefully, fingers crossed we can make it work eventually, because if we do, we are going to unlock one of the best attackers in English football, and he plays for Manchester United. So I'm quite happy about Bryan Mbeumo. But those are just my thoughts. I want to hear yours in the comments down below. What do you think of Mbeumo? What have you made to his start at United? And how can he get even better? What else can he bring to this team? Let me know what you think in the comments. But apart from that, we are finished for today. So thank you guys very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it. If you have, please leave a like, subscribe, and also get notifications on. And I will see you in the next one.